Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Monsters Inc. Now, as you know, Monsters Inc. is a 2001 American computer animated comedy film that was produced by Pixar Animation Studios, as well as being distributed by Walt Disney Pictures. Now, the premise of Monsters Inc. is meant to follow Sully and Mike. Now, Sully is meant to be this top ace sort of employee for Monsters Incorporated, and is meant to sort of be the top scarer. And Mike is kind of the guy who monitors the dolls, sort of is the best friend character. And we're introduced to the world of Monsters Inc., where we see how monsters rely on children's scare to power things up, like cars, phones, TVs, and so many things. And we are introduced to Monsters Incorporated, where we do see how basically monsters do scaring to sort of get the screams from children, until one day Sully accidentally finds that a door has been opened, and in it is a child. And of course, after the child escapes and ends up with panic mayhem, we see how Mike and Sully have to band together to not only put the child boo back, but also to sort of make sure things stay the way they are. And I would say the movie isn't too bad. I would definitely say there is a bit of an environmental message about finding a cleaner energy source. And we see how Sully is quick to realize that children's screams aren't entirely powerful, and that laughter is. And when we kind of are introduced to the villains, I don't really see anyone as the villain. Everyone is either trying to save their company, either want to sort of prove someone wrong and that they're better than that. There's really no real villain. It's a realistic thing. And I also do admit what I like about Monsters Inc. is the music. It really knows what it wants to do. For example, in the opening, it gives this jazzy 1950s vibe to it, when it kind of wants to sort of go emotional. It really goes for a gentle music where we see where we basically see Sully realizing his mistakes and sort of wants to try and set things right, which does work. And I would say with Monsters Inc., it definitely knows how to do a good story. And I think it was one of the second attempts not to do something based on Toy Story. They did it with Bug's Life, and I think Monsters Inc. knew what they wanted to tell. They knew what the story was. And surprising enough, years later, we did get a more prequel film called Monsters University, which was a 2013 film that's meant to be more based on Mike and Sully being in university. And yeah, there is going to be a web series that's going to be released in early 21, known as Monsters at Work. And I know there was the original idea for Monsters Inc., with basically Randall being the top scarer, Sully being the kind of working guy. But I think it works more with Sully being the top scarer, because you can tell his boss, Mr. Watermoose, sees a lot of potential in him and treats him like a surrogate son. And you can kind of tell Randall does get annoyed with Sully's success, and you can tell he wants to go the distance, but not realizing that you just can't. And I would say Monsters Inc. does leave a good impression about finding a cleaner energy source, as well as realizing that maybe sometimes trying to change something for the better can always work. So, in general, it deserves a thumbs up. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.